The woman in my arms was bleeding through my shirt. The village behind us was on fire. And the 7-foot knight, walking through the flames, kept calling me the Mirror Heir. I had been a normal college student 2 days ago. That fact was becoming less useful by the second. Left, Ilara gasped. Her silver white hair stuck to the blood on her cheek. One arm was locked around my neck. The other hung against her side. I turned left. A burning roof collapsed behind us. The Black Knight did not hurry. He did not need to. Every step of his armored boots crushed stone. Red light leaked through the cracks in his chestplate, as if somebody had built a furnace inside him. Then I saw the bridge. Half the stone arch had fallen into the gorge. I stopped so hard my shoes slid through ash. Ilara looked over my shoulder. Her face went pale. No. The Ashen Knight came out of the smoke. He carried a sword almost as tall as I was. Put her down, he said. His voice came through the helmet like metal dragged over rock. I tightened my grip on Ilara. He tilted his head. You cannot carry her and survive. That sounds like a you problem. Ilara stared at me. The knight raised his sword. I had no weapon, no armor, no training, and apparently no survival instinct. A thin silver line flashed across the skin of my right hand. I had seen that light twice before. Both times something impossible happened afterward. Heat moved through my wrist. Then my shoulder. My muscles pulled tight so suddenly, I almost dropped Ilara. The knight threw his sword. Not swung, threw. The black blade crossed the street like a piece of a building fired from a cannon. I turned my body in front of Ilara and caught it. For one very strange second, nothing moved. My hands were clamped against the flat of the blade. The impact had driven my shoes into the road, hard enough to break the stone beneath them. The sword was still humming. My arms shook. But they were still attached. The Ashen Knight stopped walking. That was the first time I saw him hesitate. Ilara forgot to breathe. I looked at the weapon in my hands, then at the gorge. There was no bridge. There was also no other road. Ilara stared at me. To what? Me. That answer did not help. The knight charged. I dropped his sword. Then I ran at the edge. Ilara made a sound that was probably my name. I jumped. The gorge opened under us. For half a heartbeat, I was certain I had just made the worst decision of my life. Then the other side came toward me much too fast. I hit the ground with both feet. Stone cracked. My knees bent. Ilara's hair whipped across my face. And somehow, impossibly, we stayed upright. I turned. The broken bridge sat between us and the Ashen Knight. He stood at the far edge. The fire behind him turned his armor red. He looked down at the gap, then back at me. My legs were shaking so hard I could barely stand. I still smiled. Then your throne should have picked it up first. His hand closed into a fist. Ilara touched my face. Move. That was a good idea. We ran. The chapel sat outside the burning village on a low hill, surrounded by dead white trees. I had been there once before. Once was enough. The tall mirror inside was the only reason I was still alive. I kicked open the chapel door. The black wooden frame waited against the far wall. Its glass showed my apartment. Not my reflection. My actual apartment. Desk, bed, laptop, a pile of laundry I deeply regretted leaving in view of another world. Ilara sagged in my arms. Put me down. No. I can stand long enough to stop bleeding on you. That is not the problem I'm focused on. I carried her to the mirror. Silver light crawled through the carved frame. Behind us, something heavy struck the chapel door. Once, the wood bent inward. Ilara twisted to look. You need to go. I'm coming back. You do not know that. Another impact. The top hinge tore free. I said I'm coming back. Ilara looked at me. It was a terrible time to notice how beautiful she was. Her face was pale from blood loss. Her armor was cut open near the shoulder. Dust covered half her hair. None of it mattered. Her eyes were clear, ice blue, alive. I believed you the first time, she said quietly. I set Ilara down against the stone wall beside the mirror. She caught my shirt before I could step away. If you disappear again, the Ashen Knight filled the doorway. Red light burned through his chest. Ilara's fingers tightened. I may not survive until you return. I covered her hand with mine. You will. Then I stepped backward through the glass. Cold swallowed me. The chapel vanished. I hit my apartment floor shoulder first. My phone alarm was screaming. For several seconds I just lay there. My ceiling looked stupidly normal. White paint. One bad crack over the light fixture. No fire, no monsters, no two moons. I rolled onto my back. My breathing slowed. Then I looked at my hands. They were red where the sword had hit them. Not broken, not crushed. I sat up and grabbed the edge of the bathroom doorway. The cheap ceramic tile beneath my fingers cracked. I froze. Very carefully, I removed my hand. 5 shallow dents marked the tile. No, I stood. Too fast. The room seemed smaller. My balance was different. My legs felt packed with tension. Not bulky, not heavy, just powerful. I looked at the mirror. My reflection looked like me. Mostly. My shoulders sat differently. My posture was straighter. Even my face looked sharper, though that could have been the blood smeared across my collar, making everything else look more dramatic. My phone alarm kept screaming. I picked it up. 8:12. My statistics exam started at 8:30. I stared at the screen, then at the blood on my shirt, then at the 7-foot portal to another world. I changed shirts in maybe 20 seconds. I grabbed my bag. Then I ran. Normally, campus was a 12-minute trip if I cut through the park and ignored 2 pedestrian lights. I reached the first intersection in less than 1. The world felt wrong. No, I felt wrong. My legs ate distance. My lungs barely noticed. A car horn exploded beside me, and I realized I had crossed an entire street without meaning to move that fast. I slowed down, or tried to. A cyclist shot around the corner ahead. He saw me too late. His front wheel clipped the curb. The bike came sideways. I put out one hand. I caught the frame. The bike stopped. The rider did not hit the ground. He hung there for a second, with both feet off the pedals. We stared at each other. I lowered him. Sorry. He looked at my hand, then at me. You caught me. Yeah. And the bike? I looked at the bent front wheel. That part was probably luck. He did not answer. I kept running. 4 minutes later, I walked into Professor Hale's exam room. Every head turned. Professor Hale checked the clock, then checked me. You have an interesting relationship with time, Mr. Cole. I'm working on it. Someone laughed. Professor Hale did not. He handed me the exam. Sit. Maya Bennett was 2 rows ahead. She looked over her shoulder as I passed, then looked again. That second look lasted longer. Maya had long dark brown hair, hazel eyes, and the kind of calm confidence I had spent most of college pretending did not affect me. We had shared 3 classes, studied together maybe 6 times, gotten coffee twice. I had also failed to ask her out so many times that it was becoming a personal tradition. Her eyes moved from my face to my shoulders, then to the fresh scrape across my hand. I sat down. Professor Hale said, "Begin." I looked at the first page. Something strange happened. I understood it. Not just the formula, the pattern. I could see what the question wanted before I finished reading it. I moved to the next one. Same thing. A lecture from 3 weeks earlier came back in my head. Not a vague memory. Professor Hale's exact explanation, his voice, the diagram, the example. I stopped writing. My heart kicked once. The mirror had changed more than my body. I finished the exam in 33 minutes. The room had been given 90. Professor Hale looked at my paper, then at me. You are done? I think so. That is rarely a promising sentence. I can stay longer if that helps emotionally. A few people laughed. Professor Hale's mouth tightened. Submit it. I did. Outside, I leaned against the wall. Too hard. The metal railing gave a tiny groan under my palm. I let go immediately. Okay. Maya's voice came from behind me. I turned. She held a silver water bottle in one hand. You are doing that thing. What thing? The thing where you look guilty before anyone accused you of something. I always look like this. No. Her eyes moved over me. You really don't. I became very aware that I had changed into a fitted black t-shirt instead of my usual hoodie. Maya stepped closer. She touched my forearm. Just once. Her fingers stopped. My skin was still warm from running. Under it, the muscle felt harder than it had any right to feel. Maya looked up. What happened to you? Sleep? I said. She stared at me. Then her eyes dropped to my collar. A dark red smear had survived my very rushed shirt change. She touched it with one finger. Blood? I looked down. Old blood. That did not improve the answer. Her water bottle slipped. I caught it behind my back. I had not seen it fall. I had heard her fingers leave the metal. I stared at the bottle in my hand. Maya stared too. Then she slowly folded her arms. Some nap. 2 days earlier, my grandfather had left me a mirror. Arthur Cole had been dead for 3 months by the time the lawyer finished sorting through the mess he called an estate. There was almost no money. His house had been sold. Most of his workshop tools went to pay bills. I expected a box of photos, maybe his old watch. Instead, the lawyer opened a storage room and pointed at something wrapped in gray cloth. Your grandfather maimed you specifically for this item. I pulled off the cover. The mirror was almost 7 feet tall. Black wood, old silver details. Glass so dark it looked like somebody had mixed smoke into it. Did he say why? No. That sounded like Grandpa. He loved useful advice and completely unnecessary mystery. The movers delivered it to my apartment that evening. Then I found the words carved into the back of the frame.
What you earn beyond me returns with you.
I read it 3 times. Then I laughed. Sure, Grandpa. At midnight, the mirror stopped reflecting my apartment. I was brushing my teeth. I looked up. Behind my reflection was a stone room filled with candles. I turned around. My apartment was normal. I faced the mirror again. Stone walls, candles, an open wooden door. Then a woman's bloody hand slammed against the other side of the glass. I dropped my toothbrush. Her face appeared. Silver hair, blue eyes, blood. Please. I reached toward her. The glass moved like cold water. My hand went through. Something grabbed my wrist. The room vanished. I fell onto stone. A pale wolf with black bone spikes growing through its back landed where my head had been. I rolled. The woman stabbed it in the neck. Another creature hit her from the side. That was Alara. That was my first minute in Velora. By my 20th, I had learned 3 things. The wolves were called Riven Hounds. Alara had no idea what Earth was, and the old mirror in the chapel had been dead for longer than anyone in Greyhaven remembered, until I touched it. That first night ended with me helping Alara reach the village. The next ended with the Ashen Knight setting half of Greyhaven on fire. And now I was standing in a college hallway, while Maya Bennett asked why I had blood on my shirt. I did what any intelligent man would do. I lied. Kitchen accident. Maya's eyes narrowed. With whose kitchen? Mine. You don't cook. I have a microwave. That is not helping. For some reason, holding eye contact felt easier now. Not because I suddenly knew what to say. I just did not feel the old need to look away first. Maya noticed that too. Her expression changed. Only a little. You're weird today. Only today? That earned the smallest smile. Then she touched my wrist again. This time, softer. Seriously, are you okay? Alara's face flashed in my head. Blood against silver hair. If you disappear again, I may not survive until you return. No, I said. Maya's smile disappeared. I almost told her. The words got as far as my throat. Then I looked around the hallway. Students, phones, cameras, normal life. I will be. Maya studied me for another second. My brain, apparently upgraded enough to solve statistics in half the time, failed to produce one useful response. Yeah, good. She walked away. I watched her go. Then I remembered there was a wounded woman in another world waiting for me. College had somehow become the simpler problem. I made it back to my apartment before noon. The black glass mirror showed the chapel. Smoke drifted through the broken doorway. No Ashen Knight. No Alara. I put one hand against the glass. Cold moved across my palm. Then silver light appeared under my fingers. Not writing, not numbers, a shape. For 1 second, my reflection raised its hand before I did. I stepped through. The chapel smelled like ash and blood. Alara? A knife touched my throat from the side. I stopped. Alara leaned against the wall behind me. Her face was pale. Her other hand pressed a bandage to her ribs. You came back. You sound surprised. I watched you disappear into a mirror. Fair. She lowered the knife, then looked at my clothes. My black t-shirt, jeans, sneakers. Her eyes stayed on the shirt a little longer than necessary. I noticed. She noticed me noticing. Her gaze returned to my face. Those are battle clothes? No. You crossed worlds wearing them. That sounds worse when you say it. She almost smiled. Then pain tightened her face. I moved toward her. Sit. I am sitting. That is not a direction. I crouched beside her. The bandage around her ribs was dark. You're still bleeding. Less. That is not the same as good, she looked at me. You speak like a healer. I do not know what that means. Mostly debt. She did not laugh. Different world. Some things crossed badly. I helped unwrap the bandage. Ilara's outer armor was gone. Under it, she wore a dark fitted shirt, cut along the side. I tried to keep my eyes on the injury. Mostly succeeded. You are staring. At the wound. You stared before you found it. I looked up. She was watching me. Very calm. Very aware. Your people have excellent timing. My people? Women with knives. That finally got a small smile. I cleaned the cut with boiled water from a clay bottle beside her. When I reached across, Ilara touched my ribs. I flinched. Sorry. No, just sore. She pressed more carefully. Her fingers moved over the bruised skin under my shirt. Her eyes narrowed. These should be broken. I caught a sword. I remember. I wish I didn't. No, her hand stayed against my side. You do not understand. What? The knight hit you yesterday. A Riven Hound hit you before that. Your breathing was wrong when we reached Greyhaven. And now? Now you are bruised. That sounds better. It is impossible. Silver light appeared in the chapel mirror. Just a faint pulse. Elara saw it. Her hand left my ribs. The old stories say mirrors reflected more than faces. I turned toward it. What does that mean? I do not know. You say that a lot for the person explaining this world. I had a peaceful life before you fell out of a dead shrine. Sorry. I did not say I disliked the change. Our eyes met. The air shifted. Then somebody outside screamed Elara's name. She grabbed her knife. Romantic tension would apparently have to survive another scheduling conflict. We stepped outside. Greyhaven looked worse in daylight. A dozen homes had burned. The watchtower roof was gone. Men and women carried buckets through the street. A child sat beside a wall holding a blanket around his shoulders. The place had maybe 200 people. Enough to feel alive, not enough to survive another attack like the last one. A broad man with a bandaged head hurried toward Elara. The medicine cart never arrived. Elara's face changed instantly. From North Road? He nodded. The ranger station still has supplies, but the road is full of riven tracks. How many sick? 17, maybe more by night. Elara looked at me. No. I raised an eyebrow. I was going to ask where the ranger station is. No. That sounds suspiciously like the same answer. You have no weapon. I looked at a cracked stone watering trough beside us. Then, at my hand. I gripped the edge. The stone broke off. Not chipped. Broke. A piece larger than my head came away in my fingers. The broad man stopped talking. Elara stared at the chunk of stone. I put it down carefully. I think we should update what counts as a weapon. 10 minutes later, Elara was leading me toward North Road. She had argued. I had argued back. Then I lifted the village's fallen gate beam by myself, so 3 men could pull a trapped cart free. The argument ended. The road climbed into a forest of pale trees. Elara moved more slowly because of her ribs. I stayed beside her. You could wait in Greyhaven. You would get lost. The road is straight. You would find a way. That feels personal. It is becoming personal. I smiled. Then I heard something. Leaves. Left side. Too soft for a person. Elara reached for her bow. You heard that? Yes. She looked at me. The first riven hound came out of the brush. It was the size of a large dog, but only if somebody had hated dogs. Gray skin, black spikes through its back, jaw too wide. The thing had enough teeth to make the rest of its face feel optional. 2 more moved behind it. Elara whispered, 3. Her eyes moved to me. 1 behind the fallen tree. 1 farther uphill. The nearest hound lunged. I stepped forward. That was new too. Yesterday, I had reacted late. Now I saw the shoulders tighten before the jump. I caught it by the throat. Its weight hit me. My feet moved half a step. That was all. The hound snapped at my face. I tightened my hand. Bone cracked. The creature went limp. I stared at it. Blood ran between my fingers. Elara stared at me. That was not normal. Good. I was starting to worry. The second hound attacked from the side. This one I hit. My fist drove into its skull. There was a wet sound. The body spun and hit a tree hard enough to leave blood across the pale bark. I stood there with my hand dripping. Something inside me changed. No voice told me what had happened. No hidden rule explained it. My senses simply opened wider. I heard Elara's breath. The next hound's claws biting into dirt. The tiny scrape of leaves behind me. I turned before it jumped. I caught the third one in the air, and this time, I smiled. The fear was still there, but now I understood the pattern. The mirror was not rewarding me for winning. My body had survived something that should have broken it. The mirror made sure I kept the change that survival forced into me. I tightened my grip. The hound stopped moving. That was much more dangerous. For everybody who kept trying to make me stronger. The fourth hound tried to run. Elara's arrow entered behind its front leg. The creature rolled twice and stopped. I could hear it breathing. Slow, careful. It had watched the others die. That one is thinking, I said. Elara drew another arrow. They all think. Not like this. The forest went quiet. Then the hound moved away from us. Not toward. Away. I looked at Elara. It's leaving. Let it. I nodded. Yesterday, I would have chased because the idea of letting a monster escape felt wrong. Today, I understood something simpler. We were here for medicine. Not points, not trophies, not a clean forest. Medicine. We reached the ranger station 20 minutes later. The front door had been torn off. Inside, shelves lay across the floor. Elara found 2 sealed boxes under a broken table. Fever powder, clean bandages, Bitterroot. I picked up both boxes. She reached for one. And you carried me through a burning village. I was showing off. Yes. We headed back. The fifth hound followed us for almost a mile. I never saw it. I heard every careful step. Elara heard it too by the end. It never attacked. Yesterday, 5 of those things would have been a death sentence. Today, one had watched me kill 3 with my hands and decided hunger was not worth it. That felt better than another corpse. Something in the forest had learned to fear me. Back in Greyhaven, the medicine disappeared into the sick house. I helped carry water, then timber, then a section of roof. The last one got attention. 4 men were trying to raise a heavy beam into place over a burned home. I took one end. I lifted. The whole beam came off the ground. All 4 men froze. Higher? I asked. Nobody answered. I raised it above my head. One of the men slowly removed his hands. Then another. Elara watched from across the street. She had that same expression again. Not fear. Not exactly. Something between concern and interest. That evening, I stood in front of the chapel mirror. My reflection looked a fraction wrong. Not different. Ahead. Like it knew where I was about to move. I raised my right hand. The reflection raised its hand first. I stepped closer. Silver moved under the glass. A memory hit me. Not mine. A man standing in snow, his hands around a broken gate. People screaming behind him. He lifted. The image vanished. I stumbled back. Elara was behind me. What did you see? A man. Who? I don't know. What was he doing? Something impossible. She looked at the mirror. Maybe that is what it wants from you. I looked at my hands. The man in that memory was lifting a gate, and you held ours yesterday. I had never done anything like that before. Elara looked at the silver glass. Perhaps the mirror remembers what people become when they have no choice but to become more. I laughed once. Healthy relationship. You speak of the mirror like a woman. I have made worse decisions. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Have you? The question had more weight than it should have. I looked at her. Then I thought about Maya. Elara noticed the pause. There is someone. I leaned against the wall. There might be. I am very talented at not knowing when a woman likes me. That is not a talent. I've practiced. Elara looked away, but I saw the corner of her mouth move. Is she beautiful? Yes. That answer came too fast. Elara glanced back. You did not hesitate. No. Then perhaps your talent is improving. I slept in Greyhaven for 2 hours. On Earth that cost me 40 minutes. The time difference still made my head hurt, if I thought too hard about it. I woke in a small watchroom, with Elara asleep on the other side of the narrow space. There had been one bed. She took the floor. I objected. She told me the bed frame would collapse under both of us. I did not test the theory. Moonlight crossed her face. Without armor, she looked softer. Still strong. Still unmistakably adult. Her silver hair spread over the folded cloak under her head. I watched 1 second too long. Her eyes opened. You are staring again. I was checking if you were awake. You discovered it. I'm very advanced. She closed her eyes. Go to sleep, college student. I did. When I returned to Earth, it was 6:10 in the morning. I showered, changed, looked at myself in the mirror, then looked again. My face had not become somebody else's. That would have scared me. It was still mine. But the tired softness around my eyes was gone. My shoulders filled the shirt differently. My waist looked tighter. There were faint lines of muscle across my stomach that I had never earned in a gym. I turned sideways. Okay. My phone buzzed. Maya? You alive? I stared at the message. Then typed, barely, presentation today. 3 dots appeared. I know, you're my partner. I closed my eyes. Right, the presentation. I had completely forgotten. Then I remembered the entire project. Not just that we had one. Everything. Every article. Every slide. The conversation Maya and I had 6 days earlier in the library. The professor's instructions. The wording on the grading sheet. All of it came back with strange sharpness. I opened the presentation. Read it once. That was enough. At 10, Maya met me outside the lecture hall. She had a cream sweater, dark jeans, and her hair tied back loosely. I stopped walking. She noticed. Do I have blood on me too? No. Good. You look nice. The words came out without the usual 12 seconds of internal debate. Thank you. That should not have been a major victory. It felt like one. We walked inside. Halfway through the presentation, our projector died. Professor Hale looked irritated. 3 months ago, I would have frozen. Maya looked at me. I looked at the dark screen. Then I kept speaking. No notes, no slides. I rebuilt the whole argument from memory. Every number, every source, every transition. Maya picked up immediately. We finished without the projector. The room stayed quiet. Professor Hale took off his glasses. Mr. Cole, I waited. Did you memorize the presentation? No, that was technically true. He looked at Maya. She folded her arms. I'm also curious. I read it this morning. Professor Hale's face did something I had never seen before. It lost certainty. After class, Maya caught my sleeve. That sounded less like an invitation. It evolved. We went to a small cafe off campus. She sat across from me. For 30 seconds we talked about the presentation. Then she stopped pretending. What happened? I looked at my coffee. Complicated. I have time. You really don't. Try me. I could hear every table around us. A spoon against ceramic. A blender in the back. A couple whispering by the window. And Maya's breathing. Steady. Then slightly slower when I looked at her. That was new information I did not need. You remember my grandfather? Her expression softened. Arthur. Yeah. You talked about him all the time. Not all the time. Enough that I know he hated plastic furniture. He was right. He called your desk an insult. He was also dramatic. He left me something. What? I looked at her. I wanted to say mirror, portal, other world, silver-haired scout, black knight. Instead I said, something I don't understand yet. Maya did not push immediately. That helped more than she knew. Is it dangerous? Yes. Her fingers tightened around the cup. Are you in danger? Yes. She exhaled slowly. And the blood? I looked away. That was not a kitchen accident. I had reached that conclusion. I know. You are terrible at this. At lying? At lying to me. That landed harder. I looked back. Maya's face was calm. Not angry. Worried. I liked you before whatever this is, she said. My brain stopped. She continued. You know that, right? No. Her eyes widened. Then she laughed. Not cruelly. Almost in disbelief. Ethan? What? We studied together until midnight twice. I thought you cared about statistics. I hate statistics. I stared at her. She leaned forward. You walked me home in the rain, and then refused to come upstairs because you thought I was tired. You said you were tired. I was flirting. That seems poorly designed. She covered her face for a second. When she lowered her hands, she was smiling. You really had no idea. Now I could hear her heartbeat. That felt like cheating. I'm improving. Her smile slowed. Yes. Her eyes moved over my face, then lower. You are. My ears got hot. That was comforting. Apparently becoming superhuman did not remove all basic male weaknesses. Maya reached across the table. Her fingers rested over mine. You feel different. I know. But you also don't. What does that mean? You always acted like you were waiting for permission to take up space. I said nothing. Now you don't. That hit somewhere uncomfortable. She squeezed my hand. I like that part. My phone vibrated. I looked at it. The screen was black. No notification. Then it vibrated again. Not the phone, my wrist. The silver line under my skin. I stood. Maya's hand slipped away. What? I need to go. Her face changed. Is this the dangerous part? Yes. Ethan. For 1 second I almost kissed her. Then the silver light burned brighter. I stopped. Not like that. Not while leaving with half the truth. I'm sorry. Maya looked hurt for half a second, then worried again. Go. The black glass mirror was red, not the glass. The world inside it. Again. I stepped through. An arrow hit the wall beside my head. I ducked. Greyhaven's chapel was full of smoke. Elara grabbed my arm. Mill. That was all she said. We ran. The water mill sat at the north edge of the village beside a narrow river. 3 bodies were already in the mud. 1 was a Greyhaven watchman. 2 wore dark gray armor split by glowing red cracks. Corrupted. 5 more stood around the mill. Their eyes glowed faintly red. A heavy man with a spear saw us. Mirror Boy. I hate that name. Elara fired. Her arrow hit his shoulder. He barely reacted. 2 soldiers rushed us. Elara moved left. I moved right. The first sword came for my neck. I saw the attack before it began. Shoulder, hip, foot. The man's body told me everything. My fist hit his ribs. Armor bent. The sound under it was worse. He folded sideways. The second soldier stabbed. I caught his wrist, then twisted. The forearm broke with a wet crack. He screamed. I took the sword. The blade felt light. Too light. The spearman charged Elara. She fired again. He knocked the arrow aside, then thrust. I was 10 feet away. I moved, not fast enough to disappear. fast enough that the world narrowed. My hand closed around the spear shaft inches from Alara's chest. Everything stopped. The spearman pulled. Nothing happened. He pulled harder. I looked at him. No. I snapped the shaft. Alara stepped aside. I drove the broken half through the gap under his jaw. Wood punched into his mouth and out behind his neck. His eyes stayed wide. Then the red light inside his armor flared. Something black cracked beneath his breastplate. The other corrupted soldiers stopped. The spearman dropped. A shard of dark glass pushed through the broken armor at his chest. Red veins moved inside it. The thing made a sound, a high, thin hum. The black glass mirror answered from half a mile away. I felt it through my bones. I reached down. Alara caught my wrist. Do not touch that. I think it wants me to. That is not better. The shard pulsed. I touched it. Pain went through my entire body. Not heat. Cold. Deep enough to make my teeth ache. Red light ran up my arm. Then silver met it. For a second, both colors fought beneath my skin. The corrupted soldiers screamed. Not because I hit them. Because the red light inside their armor started pulling out. Thin streams of it tore free. They crossed the air, entered the shard. Then the black glass in my hand turned clear. Every corrupted soldier collapsed. Some dead, some breathing. The silver light hit my chest. I dropped to one knee. Alara caught my shoulder. Ethan. My senses opened. Water rushed beneath the mill in separate currents. A broken gear clicked behind two stone walls. 3 fallen soldiers still had heartbeats, and I could tell which one was weakest without touching him. I smelled iron, smoke, wet wood, Alara's leather armor, her skin. Then the spear shaft I had snapped rolled off the mill platform. Without thinking, I caught it between 2 fingers before it hit the ground. Alara stared at my hand. So did I. The movement felt too easy. My body had not simply become stronger. It had become more complete. The little aches and tiredness I had always ignored were gone. The ache in my knees, the tightness in my back, the shallow tiredness from not sleeping enough, gone. Alara looked up at me. Her hand was still on my chest. You changed. I looked down. I feel it. No. Her fingers moved once against the shirt. Your voice. I said. What about it? She swallowed. Then removed her hand. Deeper. One of the soldiers on the ground moved. I turned. He was alive. The red cracks in his armor were fading. He looked at me like I had torn him out of a nightmare. What did you do? I don't know. That answer was starting to annoy me. We carried the survivors back. Greyhaven learned something that night. So did I. Malrek could corrupt people with mirror fragments. I could clean them. That made the black glass mirror more than a door. It made me a direct problem for whoever was behind him. The next morning on Earth, I broke my alarm clock. I reached over half asleep, my fingers closed, plastic cracked. I stared at the broken pieces. Control. That became my new hobby. Opening doors without removing handles. Picking up cups without crushing them. Shaking hands. That last one was terrifying. By noon, I had learned to move normally. Mostly. At 3, I met Maya for the date I had almost pretended was still coffee. It was not coffee. Not really. She wore a dark green dress under a light jacket. It still took my brain a second to restart. Maya saw it happen. Better. What? You looked. I always look. No, you normally pretend you didn't. I held the door for her. New policy. I approve. We had dinner at a small place near the river. For an hour I got to be normal. Almost. Maya told me about her sister. I told her about Grandpa's workshop. She already knew pieces. Not the part where, when I was 14, Arthur caught me trying to repair a chair with duct tape and made me start over from bare wood. He made you redo the whole thing? Twice. Why? He said shortcuts are useful after you know the long way. Maya smiled. That sounds like him. You met him once. He interviewed me. I stopped. What? What did he ask? Whether I liked you. I stared at her. What did you say? Maya took a drink. That seems private. Maya, she smiled over the glass. I leaned back. This entire relationship has apparently been happening without me. You are catching up. Outside the restaurant, we walked beside the river. Her hand brushed mine. Then again, the third time, I took it. Maya looked down, then at me. No joke, no surprise, just warmth. I wanted to tell her everything. Instead, I told her something true. I was scared after Grandpa died. Maya's grip tightened. I know. I thought I was doing fine. You were functioning. Something he left me made me realize I don't have time to keep waiting until I feel ready. Maya stepped closer. That part I understand. Her face was close. Close enough that I could feel her breath. I could have kissed her. I wanted to. Then I thought about Ilara's question. Is there someone? Yes, there was, and there was another woman in another world whose blood had dried on my shirt. My life had become complicated fast. Maya touched my chest. You just went somewhere else. Sorry. Don't be. She looked at me for a second longer. But eventually you need to tell me where. I nodded. I will. That night Ilara and I stood on Greyhaven's wall. The sky had 2 moons. Earth had 1. I was beginning to think about that, like it was normal. Ilara held a cup of bitter tea. You smell different. I looked at her. That is a dangerous sentence. Flowers. Maya. Ilara's eyes moved to mine. I immediately regretted saying the name. So there is someone. There is. Does she know about me? No. Do you know what you are doing? No. Ilara looked out over the village. That answer I believe. I leaned on the wall. She was quiet for a while. Then said, Is she kind? Yes. Beautiful? Yes. Again, too fast. Ilara gave me a look. What? Nothing. That was definitely something. She took another drink. I was wondering if your poor judgment is limited to portals. I smiled. Then her expression changed. She was looking beyond me, at the road. Torches. Dozens. A black shape walked at the center. Malrek had come to Greyhaven. This time, he brought an army. He stopped beyond bow range. 30 corrupted soldiers spread behind him. Red cracks glowed through their armor. Malrek raised one hand. A wounded soldier was dragged forward. The man could barely stand. Malrek placed his palm against the man's chest. The soldier screamed. Red light tore out of him. Not metaphorically. It came through his mouth, his eyes, the cracks in his armor. The light flowed into Malrek's chest. The wounded man collapsed, like something had emptied him. Malrek's armor burned brighter. People on the wall stepped back. Ilara's face went cold. That is what he does. Malrek looked directly at me. Give me the black glass mirror. No. You have not heard the offer. I've seen enough. A woman behind me whispered something that sounded like a prayer. Malrek spread one armored hand. You leave. I take the mirror. The village remains. I looked at the dead soldier at his feet. You kill your own people. They served their purpose. After that, I had no doubt left. I stepped onto the wall's broken edge so he could see me clearly. You came here because you think I'm still the man who ran from you. Malrek's helmet tilted. I continued. You should have come faster. Red light flashed in his chest. You mistake borrowed strength for your own. I smiled. You brought 30 people carrying the same corruption I just learned how to break. For the first time, several soldiers behind him shifted. Malrek did not. But I felt it. He understood what I meant. The red cracks in his chest brightened. Not anger, fear trying very hard to look like anger. He had brought me an army. I was starting to see it as 30 chances to become something worse. And he knew it. Malrek gave us until moonrise. It sounded generous until Ilara pointed at the sky. The smaller moon was already touching the eastern ridge. We had maybe an hour. There was no council, no long meeting. Greyhaven did not have enough people for one. Ilara and I stood inside the gate with the watch captain and looked at the village. The problem was simple. 30 corrupted soldiers were too many for Greyhaven's defenders. Malrek was too strong for any of them, and the chapel was behind us. If he reached it, he reached the black glass mirror. Ilara, I said, get every child and anyone who cannot fight into the shrine cellar. She nodded. Captain, hold the 2 narrow streets. Do not chase anyone. The captain looked at me. What will you do? I looked at the red lights beyond the wall. I'm going to make Malrek regret bringing me practice. Ilara grabbed my sleeve before I moved away. That sounded confident. I'm terrified. Good. That was not the response I wanted. It means you are not stupid. She pulled me closer. For 1 second I thought she might kiss me. Instead, she pressed her forehead against mine. Come back. The words were quiet. I touched the side of her face. I will. This time I believed it before I said it. Moonrise came. The first impact hit the gate hard enough to throw 2 defenders off their feet. A second followed. Wood cracked. I stood behind it. Everyone else had moved back. Again! Somebody outside shouted. The gate jumped inward. I put both hands against the center beam. Silver light moved under my skin. The memory of the gorge came back. The sword, the stone, the weight. My hands locked. The third impact came. The gate slammed into my palms. My boots slid 6 inches. Stopped. Outside someone yelled. They hit it again. Nothing. I smiled. Open it. The captain stared at me. What? Open it. That seems... Trust me. He pulled the sidebar. I stepped back. The gate flew inward. 3 corrupted soldiers rushed through, expecting broken defenders. They found me. Iron grip. That was what Alara had called it after seeing me crush the hound's throat. I hated the name. It worked. The axe stopped. The soldier's red eyes widened. I pulled him forward and drove my forehead into his face. His nose and cheek broke under the helmet. The second stabbed, I turned the first man into the blade. Steel entered through his back. I shoved both soldiers into the third. The street became a pile of armor. Greyhaven's defenders stared. Close the gate, I said. The captain blinked, then shouted, Close it. That first rush died inside the village. A younger defender near the gate stared at the bodies and stopped moving. His sword shook in both hands. More boots thundered outside. I can't, he whispered. I turned toward him. Something settled into my voice. Not volume, weight. The panic on his face broke for one clean second. Hold this street. They do not get past you. His grip stopped shaking. Then the captain straightened too. So did the 2 men beside him. No silver light appeared. Nothing forced them. But everyone close enough to hear me straightened, as if my certainty had reached them before their fear could. The young defender nodded. They don't get past. I felt the mirror pulse from the chapel. Something else had changed in me. I touched the shard in the lead soldier's chest. The corruption burned. Silver met red. The surviving man screamed, then collapsed. And I changed again. It was not dramatic at first. My breathing slowed. My hearing stretched. 7 on the left. 4 directly ahead. Something heavier farther back. Malrek. The gate shook. I looked at the captain. 7 are moving toward the east wall. His eyes widened. How? Go. He went. The next attack came over the roofs. Hooks, ropes, corrupted soldiers climbed. I ran. Not like a normal man. I crossed the square before the first one reached the top. A soldier swung himself over the wall. I hit him in the chest with both hands. Armor folded. He flew backward. Not fell, flew. He hit 2 men still climbing, and all 3 dropped into the dark. Another soldier reached the wall. Alara's arrow entered his eye. He tipped backward without a sound. She was 20 yards away on a roof. I looked at her. She pointed behind me. I crossed my arms. The impact drove me to one knee. Pain shot through both forearms. The corrupted brute holding the hammer was nearly as large as Malrek. He raised it again. I rolled. Stone exploded where I had been. The brute swung sideways. I ducked. The hammer took part of the wall with it. Too strong to catch. Good to know. He roared and charged. I backed into the street. People watched from windows. The brute lifted the hammer overhead. I waited. Closer. Closer. His shoulders tightened. His left knee turned inward before he swung. I saw it. Not guessed. Saw. I moved before the hammer started down. The weapon missed by inches. I stepped inside his reach. One punch hit the side of his knee. The joint bent wrong. He screamed. I hit him again. Jaw. Again. Throat. Then I grabbed the front of his breastplate and lifted. The brute's boots left the ground. He stared at me. I threw him through the wall of an empty stable. The building shook. The street went silent. I walked through the broken doorway. He was still alive. Barely. The red shard in his chest pulsed. I tore it out. He screamed once, then stopped. The glass burned black in my hand. Silver light ripped through it. My body answered. My forearms stopped aching. My lungs opened. The night slowed. Not literally. I knew that. But people moved with tiny warnings now. A shoulder, a heel, a breath. The brute had been faster than he looked. After surviving him, I could see violence beginning before it became violence. I stepped back into the street. 3 corrupted soldiers saw me. 1 lowered his sword. Then Malrek's voice carried from outside the wall. Kill him. They obeyed. They came anyway. By the time the larger moon reached the center of the sky, 9 corrupted soldiers were down. 4 were dead. 5 were alive after I cleaned their shards. Greyhaven had lost 3 defenders. 12 were wounded. We were winning. It should have been impossible. 30 corrupted soldiers had arrived to erase a village that could barely repair its gate. Instead, every serious fighter Malrek sent at me left me harder to kill than before. I learned their timing, their weapons, the way the corruption made them ignore pain but also made them predictable. The first man had almost reached me. The next had needed a weapon. Now, 3 of them were watching me from the end of the street and refusing to come closer. Malrek finally understood the trap he had built for himself. He changed tactics. Do not engage the air, he shouted. The order moved through the streets. I stopped beside a burning cart. Then laughed once. Elara landed beside me from a low roof. He sounds upset. He told them not to fight me. That is new. He spent the first half of the night trying very hard to kill me. And now? I looked toward the chapel. He's going around me. Elara's face changed. The chapel bell rang, once. Then stopped. Malrek had broken through the north side. I ran. Elara followed. Halfway there, silver light flashed under my wrist. The world pulled sideways. Not from Valera. Something had touched it. No. The chapel appeared ahead. Malrek stood at its door. He slammed one armored hand against the frame. The black glass mirror exploded with silver light. I reached for Elara. Too late. Cold swallowed me. I fell onto my apartment floor. A woman screamed. I rolled. Maya stood beside my desk, holding a lamp like a weapon. We stared at each other. I was covered in blood. Not all mine. My shirt was torn. There was a sword cut across my shoulder. Maya's face went white. What the hell? Behind me, the black glass mirror did not show my apartment. It showed the chapel. Fire, stone. Elara stumbled into view on the other side. She saw me, then saw Maya. Maya saw her. It would have been funny in almost any other situation. Then an arrow came through the mirror. Maya ducked. The arrow buried itself in my apartment wall. Silence. Maya slowly looked at it. Then at me. I stood. That is the reason I've been acting weird. She stared at the burning village inside the mirror. The reason? Most of it. The chapel shook. Elara turned toward something off-screen. Ethan! I stepped toward the glass. Maya caught my arm. Her fingers touched the cut across my shoulder. She saw the blood on them. You're going back? Yes. You just came through that thing bleeding. Yes. There is a giant armored man in there. Yes. Her grip tightened. I thought she might tell me not to go. I would have understood. Instead, Maya looked at Elara through the mirror. Then, back at me. Is she the woman? I did not insult her by pretending I misunderstood. Yes. Maya breathed in. A lot passed across her face. Shock. Fear. Something sharper. Not now. She let go. Come back. 2 words. That was it. I will. Then I went through. Malrek hit me the moment my foot touched stone. His fist caught my chest. I flew backward. I hit the chapel wall hard enough to crack it. Air left my lungs. Elara screamed my name. Malrek turned toward her. I stood. Too quickly. He looked back. For the first time all night, his body went completely still. That should have broken you. It hurt. I rolled my shoulder. He drew his sword. The chapel suddenly felt very small. I held out one hand. Outside. I can fight. I know. Then do not. This one is mine. She looked at me, not because I needed to prove something. If Malrek reached Elara, he could drain her the way he had drained his own soldier. Elara understood. She backed toward the mirror. Malrek's helmet followed her. I stepped between them. His attention returned to me. Good. His voice had changed. Less calm. You finally understand your place. No. I put my hands up. I understand yours. He attacked. The sword was faster than before. Much faster. It cut across my chest before I finished moving. Pain opened through me. Blood hit the floor. I backed away. Malrek did not stop. Second swing, third, fourth. I avoided 2, caught one on a fallen wooden bench. The next strike cut my thigh. I hit him in the ribs. His armor dented. He barely moved. Red light flared inside him. Every stolen shard, every dead fighter, all of it lived in that armor. He had more experience, more technique, maybe more raw strength. For the first time since the opening, I was prey again. Malrek knew it. You adapted to animals. His sword hit my guard and tore skin from my palms. You adapted to servants. Another strike. I ducked. The blade cut stone. You mistake survival for mastery. He kicked me. I crossed the chapel and hit the mirror frame. Silver light burst around me. My reflection appeared in the glass, blood covered, breathing hard. Then it moved before I did. Left. I moved left. Malrek's sword missed my head. My reflection moved right. Another miss. I stared at the glass. It was showing me something. Not the future. The pattern. Malrek attacked again. Shoulder, hip, weight. I saw the beginning. The reflection showed the pattern a fraction before I understood it. I followed. The blade passed my shirt without touching skin. Malrek struck again. Missed. Again. Missed. His breathing changed. I heard it inside the helmet. He attacked harder, faster. I kept moving. Each swing taught me the next. The mirror did not speak. It did not need to. All night Malrek had forced me to survive stronger and faster attacks. My body had adapted to him. Then he made the worst choice possible. He broke the mirror. His sword hit the upper frame. Black wood cracked. Silver light exploded through the chapel. I screamed. Not from pain, from everything. The hounds, the mill, the brute, the soldiers, the people looking at me when the gate held. Elara saying come back, Maya saying the same thing. Every moment ran through me at once. The silver light did not enter my body. It reflected me. For one heartbeat, I understood. The black glass mirror had never been filling me with borrowed power. I caught a sword, so my hands learned what surviving that force required. I hunted the hounds, so my senses learned to catch what normal eyes missed. I fought Malrek's soldiers, so my body learned their speed. I stood in front of terrified people until my voice learned how to cut through panic. And the mirror refused to let any of those changes stay in only one world. What I earned here belonged to me, in Velora, on Earth. Malrek raised the sword again. I took one step. The world snapped. I was standing 10 feet away. Then, I was inside his guard. Malrek's helmet turned too late. My fist hit his chest. The sound was not metal. It was a car crash. Black plate folded inward. Red light burst from the cracks. Malrek left the ground and hit the chapel doors. Both doors tore off their hinges. He rolled into the street. Nobody moved. Not Greyhaven. Not the surviving corrupted soldiers. Not Ilara. I looked down at my feet. What was that? Ilara's eyes were wide. Do it again. I was hoping you knew. Malrek stood. Part of his chest armor was crushed. He tore the damaged plate away. Under it, black veins covered pale skin. A dark mirror shard, the size of my fist, was buried directly into his chest. Red light pulsed through it. Malrek looked at me. There was no calm left. He reached down and grabbed a wounded, corrupted soldier, lying near the chapel. No, Ilara shouted. Malrek put one hand against the man's throat. Red light tore free. The soldier went limp. Malrek drank the power. His damaged armor pushed outward. The dent began to straighten. I saw what he was doing, and suddenly I understood why the mirror hated him. I changed by surviving, learning, choosing. Malrek changed by taking. He had stolen every bit of it. He charged. This time I did not wait. One step, snap. I crossed the distance faster than sight. Burst step. Ilara would name it later. I hit Malrek's sword arm. The elbow bent backward. His sword fell. He roared. I hit his knee. Armor broke. He dropped. His good hand grabbed my throat. We crashed into the chapel wall. His fingers tightened. I could not breathe. He lifted me. Red light burned in the shard. You do not understand what is waking. I put both hands around his wrist. Iron grip. His armor creaked, then cracked. Malrek's fingers opened. I landed. He stepped back. Not attacked. Back. The Ashen Knight was retreating. At the bridge, I had run because I had no other choice. Now Malrek had a clear road behind him, and I was the reason he wanted it. The man who had walked through fire while I carried Ilara away was trying to escape me. Something hot moved through my chest. Satisfaction. Everything between us had flipped. You're leaving? Malrek turned toward the road. I stepped in front of him. His helmet snapped toward me. He had not seen me move. You were very confident at the bridge. Move. No. The Hollow King will open every grave your bloodline buried. I don't know what that means. You will. Probably. He tried to move around me. I blocked him. But you won't. Malrek lunged for the falling sword. I caught the back of his armor, lifted, then slammed him face first into the road. Stone broke beneath the helmet. I rolled him over. The red shard in his chest pulsed. He grabbed my wrist. I drove my other hand into the broken armor. My fingers touched the shard. Cold tore through me. Malrek screamed. Red light flooded my arm. The corruption wanted to stay. The black glass mirror answered from the chapel. Silver light crossed the ground. Not words, not a command, a reflection. I pulled. The shard tore out of Malrek's chest with flesh attached. Blood poured across the black armor. The red light went wild. Malrek convulsed. I closed both hands around the shard. Silver met red. The glass cracked. Once, twice, then shattered. The red light vanished. Malrek stopped moving. For several seconds, the only sound was the fire. Then one corrupted soldier dropped his sword. The red cracks in his armor faded. Another collapsed to his knees. Another started crying. Ilara walked toward me. Her bow hung at her side. She looked at Malrek's body, then at the broken shard in my bloody hand. You killed the Ashen Knight. I looked down at him. Her mouth moved. She was trying not to smile. Then her eyes dropped to my chest. The smile disappeared. You are bleeding. A lot? Yes. Okay. The road tilted. Ilara caught me. That part was becoming familiar. I woke in the same watchroom. Different arrangement. I had the floor. Alara sat beside me. Bandages crossed my chest. My thigh was wrapped. My shoulder burned. You came back, she said. I opened one eye. You sound surprised again. You collapsed. Temporary. You were unconscious for 4 hours. That feels less temporary. She looked exhausted. There was dried blood near her hairline. I lifted one hand. She leaned closer. I wiped it away with my thumb. Alara went still. So did I. My hand remained against her cheek. You should stop doing that, she whispered. Touching me like you do not know what it does. I swallowed. I know. Good. She leaned forward, then stopped. Close enough that our noses almost touched. Are you going to disappear? Eventually. That was not what I asked. I looked at her. No. Her eyes softened. I nearly kissed you before the siege. I noticed. No, you did not. I did not because I thought you might die. That is usually a reason to hurry. Ethan? Sorry. She touched my jaw. Serious now. I'm doing it because you lived. Then she kissed me. Soft at first. Warm. Her hand stayed against my face. Mine went to her waist. I felt her breathe in. The kiss deepened for one slow second. Then she pulled back. No joke. Nothing clever. Alara's cheeks had the faintest color in them. I wanted to do that before you disappeared again. I'm glad you did. She rested her forehead against mine. So am I. Later that morning, we walked through Greyhaven. The village had survived. That mattered more when I saw it in daylight. People were alive because the gate held, because the soldiers did not reach the cellar, because Malrek was dead. The chapel was damaged, but the black glass mirror still stood. The cracked section of frame had changed. Silver lines filled the broken wood. The glass was clearer, deeper. I touched it. An image appeared. My apartment, then the broken shard in my hand. I frowned. What? Alara stood beside me. I think it wants me to try something. I pressed the clean piece of Malrek's shard against the glass. It passed through. My hand did not. Only the object. I pulled it back, then pushed it through again. Alara stared. You can send things across. Small things. Can you send a sword? I looked at Malrek's enormous weapon outside. I'm not carrying that to class. I do not know what class is. Exactly. I said goodbye to Greyhaven before noon. Not forever. I knew I would come back. People nodded when I passed. Some touched their chests. One little boy stared at me like surviving had been my idea. I hated that. I also liked it more than I wanted to admit. Alara walked me to the mirror. Neither of us pretended the kiss had not happened. That was nice. You're Maya. She saw me. Yes. And I saw her. Yes. She is beautiful. I did not answer fast this time. Alara noticed, then smiled. Improving. I'm terrified of both of you. That may be your sharpest instinct yet. I touched her hand. I have to tell her the truth. You should. And you? What about me? What do I tell her about you? Alara's expression became calm. Tell her I kissed you. I blinked. That is direct. I am not ashamed. Neither was I. That made the truth harder, but at least it was honest. I stepped through. My apartment was quiet. The arrow was still in the wall. Maya sat on my bed. She stood the second she saw me. Her eyes moved across every bandage. Then she crossed the room and hit me. Right beside the bandage. I hissed. Oh my God. She pulled her hand back. Sorry. I probably deserved the first part. You disappeared through a mirror into a burning village. Yes. You came back with a sword cut across your chest. Yes. There was a white-haired woman. Silver. Maya stared at me. I closed my eyes. Bad correction. Very. Then she hugged me. Carefully. Her arms went around my waist. Her face pressed against my shoulder. I felt her shake once. That erased every joke in my head. I held her. I thought you were dead. I know. No, you don't. She pulled back. Her eyes were wet. I sat here looking at that stupid mirror for hours. I'm sorry. You said you would come back. I did. That does not make the waiting less awful. I touched her face. Maya leaned into my hand for half a second, then looked at me. Tell me everything. So I did. Not every old story Alara had told me. Not every guess. The facts. Grandpa's mirror, Veilora, Greyhaven, Alara, Malrek, the way my body changed, the way my memory changed, the way the changes stayed. Maya listened. She interrupted only when something sounded insane. That happened often. When I finished, she looked at the mirror, then at me. And Alara? There it was. I could have softened it. I chose not to. She kissed me. Maya's eyes closed. 1 second, 2. When? After Malrek died. Yes. She nodded slowly. That hurt more than anger would have. I'm not going to lie to you. That is a good start. Maya looked at me. And me? Yes. How much? I laughed once because the alternative was panic. Enough that this conversation is terrifying. That almost got a smile. Almost. Maya stepped closer. You know what bothers me? What? Not that another woman likes you. I waited. It bothers me that 2 days ago, I was wondering if you liked me at all. That part was stupidity. Yes. Mine. Yes. I'm fixing it. Maya looked at my face for a long moment. Then she took my shirt carefully in one hand and pulled me down. She kissed me. Not hesitant, not angry. Warm and firm, and very real. I forgot about injuries for several seconds. When she pulled back, her forehead rested against mine. That does not solve anything, she whispered. I know. And you are going to keep telling me the truth. Yes. Especially about the beautiful woman in the other world. Yes. Maya's eyes narrowed. Very beautiful? I considered survival. Different. She stared. I smiled carefully. That was almost smart. I'm adapting. The tension broke just enough. We spent the next hour looking at the mirror. Maya refused to touch it at first. Then she did. Nothing happened. The glass showed only my apartment. The doorway answered only to me. At least for now. I took the clean shard from my pocket. The glass accepted it. On the other side, I placed it on the small table beside the chapel wall. Then I brought it back. Maya watched the object cross. No trick? No. No projection? No. Another world? Yes. I sat beside her. Okay? No. Not okay. Fair. But real. Yes. My laptop made a sound. I looked over. A new grade had been posted. Statistics exam. 98%. Maya saw it, then looked at me. You finished that exam in half an hour. Apparently. I studied for 2 weeks. I'm sorry. No, you're not. No. She leaned back on her hands. So you fight monsters, come back stronger, and now you're also becoming annoyingly smart. That seems to be the pattern. And hotter. I turned. Maya's face stayed completely serious for 2 seconds. Then she smiled. That part you can keep. My phone buzzed. This time it was real. Professor Hale. A message asking whether I would consider joining an advanced research project next term. 3 days ago, I would have thought the email was sent to the wrong person. Now I thought about the lecture I could remember word for word. The exam. The presentation. The mirror. 3 days ago, college had felt like the life I was failing to begin. Now I could remember entire lectures after one reading, bend metal by accident, and cross a mirror into a world where people had started looking at me like I belonged in old stories. And somehow I wanted both lives more than ever. After Maya left, I sat in front of the black glass mirror alone. The clean shard rested on my desk. Grandpa's old wooden box sat beside it. I had not opened the box since the inheritance. Most of it was junk. Screws, old receipts, a broken pocket watch. I emptied it again. This time something on the bottom caught the light. A folded piece of paper. I opened it. A sketch. A throne. Tall. Black. Behind it stood a mirror with a cracked crown carved into the frame. My chest tightened. I had seen that symbol. On Malrek's armor. The clean shard on my desk flashed silver. The black glass mirror answered. Its surface darkened. My apartment vanished. Not Valora's chapel. Somewhere else. A vast room. Black stone. No windows. A throne at the far end. For a second, I saw nobody. Then 2 pale hands closed around the throne's arms. A man leaned forward in the dark. I could not see his face. Only his eyes. Open. Awake. His voice crossed the mirror like a whisper inside my skull. Arthur's air crossed. I stood so fast. The chair fell behind me. The apartment was silent again. On my phone, Maya's last message still waited. Alive? I looked at the mirror, then typed back.